Roommate put hormones in my coffee for a year. There's a moment in every life where routine stops being comfort and quietly becomes a weapon. Mine arrived in a coffee mug. Same kitchen. Same counter. Same roommate moving silently behind me every morning. Nothing dramatic. Nothing suspicious. That's how manipulation works best. My name is Ethan. 27. Corporate job. Long-term girlfriend. A life that looked clean, balanced, and under control from the outside. People saw stability. Consistency. Predictability. What they didn't see was how carefully that predictability was being engineered. I trusted systems. Schedules. Habits. I trusted the idea that adulthood meant autonomy. And I trusted the person who always woke up before me. Lena never drank coffee. She just made it. She'd place the mug down, slide it toward me, and watch, not in a dramatic way, not with a smirk. Just enough to notice everything. The way my fingers wrapped around the handle. The way I exhaled before the first sip. She remembered things most people forgot. When I started skipping workouts, she noticed. When my moods shifted, she noticed. When my body began responding in ways I didn't recognize, she noticed. And she never said a word. By the third month of living together, Lena knew my schedule better than I did. She knew which mornings I was late, which ones I lingered. She knew when Isabella stayed over because my tone changed, lighter, more careful. She noticed when I started switching from black coffee to milk without remembering why. "You don't need sugar anymore," she said once, handing me the mug. It wasn't a question. It was an observation. I laughed it off. People say strange things all the time. That's how you survive shared spaces, ignore what doesn't fit. At work, I managed projects that revolved around precision. Numbers. Deliverables. Deadlines. Everything measured, tracked, documented. Control wasn't just my job, it was my identity. Which made the subtle changes harder to accept. Meetings felt louder than they used to. Conversations hit deeper. Certain comments lingered longer than they should have. When a colleague joked about my voice sounding softer over a call, I smiled and moved on. When my reflection looked unfamiliar under the office lights, I blamed exhaustion. Lena never commented. She just adjusted. Isabella brought contrast into my life. She didn't ease into rooms, she claimed them. Confident posture, deliberate movements, eyes that challenged rather than invited. She liked ambition, clarity, strength. The version of me she fell for fit neatly into that world. At least, mostly. "You've been different," she said one Friday night, sitting cross-legged on my bed. Different how? Not worse. Just quieter. More internal. She reached for my wrist as she spoke. Held it longer than necessary. Her touch registered in a new way, sharper, heavier. I pulled my hand back without realizing it. She noticed. Isabella always noticed. "You don't have to hide with me," she said softly. The problem was, I didn't know what I was hiding. By the time my shirts started fitting differently, denial had become reflex. Fabric clung where it hadn't before. My chest felt sensitive in a way I didn't have language for. Showers took longer. Mirrors became something I passed instead of faced. Online searches started accidentally. Stayed intentionally. Body chemistry. Hormonal imbalance. Stress responses. Every explanation felt temporary. Every change felt permanent. Lena began buying different groceries. Almond milk instead of regular. Herbal teas I didn't ask for. Supplements lining the kitchen shelf. "You should take care of yourself," she said once, organizing them with unsettling precision. I nodded. That was the pattern. She suggested. I complied. Nothing felt forced. And that's what scared me most later. Nights became heavier. When Isabella slept beside me, I lay awake counting breaths. My body felt unfamiliar, too responsive, too alert. Her arm across my waist grounded me and unsettled me at the same time. "You okay?" she murmured once. "Yeah," I said quickly. Too quickly. She shifted closer. I stayed still. Across the apartment, Lena's door remained closed. No sound. No light. Just presence. Waiting. The shift had already begun. I just hadn't realized yet that it wasn't internal. It wasn't accidental. And it wasn't temporary. Changes don't announce themselves. They negotiate. They slip into routine, soften resistance, wait for permission that never gets consciously given. By month 4, my body had started making decisions without consulting me. Sleep felt different, deeper, heavier, threaded with vivid dreams that lingered into the morning. Emotions arrived faster than logic could intercept them. Small things carried weight. Music hit harder. Silence felt loud. And touch had become complicated. When Isabella leaned into me, my breath caught in ways that felt wrong for the version of myself I was used to being. Not arousal. Not fear. Sensitivity. That word followed me everywhere. At the gym, my strength dipped in increments too small to argue with. At work, confrontation exhausted me more than it used to. I found myself choosing words carefully, softening edges, prioritizing harmony without remembering when that instinct developed. Lena watched it all happen. Not openly. Not obviously. But precisely. It started with clothes. One evening, folding laundry alone, I noticed how my fingers lingered on certain fabrics. Softer materials felt right. Familiar in a way that didn't make sense. One shirt, Isabella's, left behind weeks ago, brushed my knuckles. Something in me paused. I didn't put it on. I didn't even pick it up. But I stood there longer than necessary, aware of my own breathing. That night, I searched for answers again. Hormones. Endocrine shifts. Environmental exposure. Nothing conclusive. Everything vague. I closed the browser and went to sleep. Lena was already awake in the kitchen when I got up the next morning. "Try this one," she said, handing me a new mug. Different color. Same smile. The physical changes became impossible to dismiss after that. My skin felt smoother, noticeably so. Shaving took longer because there was less to shave. My chest reacted to temperature in ways that caught me off guard. Tightness. Tenderness. Awareness. In the shower, I avoided looking down. At work, I started layering clothes. When Isabella noticed my hesitation, she teased me at first. "You're getting shy now?" She laughed. The joke didn't land. That night, when she kissed me, I froze for half a second too long. She pulled back immediately. "What's going on with you?" she asked. I opened my mouth. Closed it. She studied my face, really studied it. "You don't feel distant," she said slowly. "You feel divided." The word stuck. Divided. The apartment felt different after dark. Sounds carried further. Footsteps echoed longer. I became hyper-aware of doors opening, of Lena's movements behind walls. She never intruded. Never questioned. Never confronted. She simply adjusted the environment. Lights dimmer. Music softer. Scents warmer. One evening, I found a folded garment on my bed. Not hidden. Not displayed. Just placed. Black. Lightweight. Delicate. I stood there for a long time, pulse steady but loud in my ears. Lena's voice came from the hallway. You don't have to decide anything tonight, she said calmly. I just thought you might want options. Options. That word carried no threat, which made it dangerous. I didn't put it on. But I didn't throw it away either. I slid it into a drawer and closed it gently, like it might bruise. That night, sleep didn't come easily. My mind looped through justifications, denials, curiosities. Shame tried to take the lead. Fascination pushed back harder than expected. The truth sat uncomfortably between them. Something inside me recognized that garment. And that recognition didn't feel new. It felt remembered. Isabella started dropping by unannounced. Small tests disguised as affection. Early visits. Unexpected stays. Each knock at the door made my chest tighten. Each moment alone with Lena felt charged, not sexually, not emotionally, but strategically. Like a chessboard mid-game where only one player knew the rules. You've been blooming, Lena said one morning, stirring the coffee. I laughed, a little too sharply. Don't flatter me. She looked at me then, really looked. I wasn't, she replied. By the time I realized this wasn't curiosity anymore, by the time fear started arriving before excitement. The routine was already locked in place. And the coffee still tasted normal. The apartment had never felt smaller. Every sound carried with a weight that made my chest tighten. The faint click of Lena's mug against the counter. The distant hum of traffic. Isabella's car, unexpectedly early, idling outside. I froze mid-step, holding a silky black dress in my hands. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye. I barely recognized myself. The subtle curve of my chest. The smoothness of my skin. The way my jawline had softened. This wasn't curiosity anymore. This was irreversible. Lena appeared behind me without a sound. You're ready, she said softly. No, I whispered. She didn't argue. She just smiled, calm, precise, knowing. That smile carried a warning I couldn't ignore. The doorbell rang. Isabella. Panic stabbed sharp. My mind raced. What could I do? Hide? Pretend nothing? Change back in 10 seconds flat? None of it felt possible. I dove behind the curtain, heart hammering, hands trembling on the soft dress. Every second felt like an eternity. Footsteps on the floorboards. Her laugh, a casual, warm sound, echoed from the front door. She's here early, I thought. She can't see this. I stuffed the dress under the bed, nearly dropping it. Lena didn't move, didn't flinch. Her calmness fueled my terror. A knock. Ethan? Isabella's voice, soft but alert. Yes, coming. My voice cracked. The doorknob turned. I ran to the couch, fumbling with a hoodie, trying to create a barrier between her gaze and the subtle changes that now defined me. Every movement screamed, don't notice, don't notice, don't notice. Even hiding, I could feel it, my body wasn't mine anymore. The hormones, the subtle manipulation in my coffee, it had sculpted me gradually. My thighs brushed differently against fabric. My chest responded to movement. My lips were fuller, softer. My voice, when I spoke, sounded lighter than it should. I tried clearing my throat, sounding like the old me, but Isabella tilted her head. You sound different, she said casually. Not accusatory, but observant. Yes, just tired, I muttered. I could feel Lena behind the curtain, silent encouragement or challenge, I couldn't tell which. Sweat prickled on my temples. My hands shook. I realized how much power had shifted, not to Isabella, not to anyone else, but to the process itself. The coffee, Lena's precision, the year-long subtle engineering had led me here. I wasn't in control. I had never been in control. And yet, part of me craved this revelation. The thrill, the vulnerability, the dangerous exhilaration, it burned brighter than fear. I had to navigate two selves at once, the one Isabella knew, and the one that was emerging in secret. A mirror caught my reflection as I edged past the hallway to greet Isabella. The dress under the bed, the hoodie on my shoulders, the soft curves, everything collided into one undeniable image. Half of me wanted to run, rip the dress from my life, destroy the proof. The other half wanted Lena to watch, wanted Isabella to notice, wanted to see how far I could go without breaking. Lena's voice cut softly from the kitchen, "You're ready for this. Just be you." "Be me?" I whispered to no one but the reflection. The reflection didn't answer. It smiled. Isabella stepped inside, smiling, unaware of the storm that had already taken over my life. I froze. She froze. And Lena. Lena just watched from the shadows, her presence heavier than any words. The dress waited under the bed. The coffee had worked. And the secret was no longer mine alone. Something had shifted. Something irreversible. And in that moment, I realized, nothing would ever feel safe again. The apartment had grown impossibly quiet. Every sound, Isabella's footsteps in the living room, the faint hum of the refrigerator, felt amplified. My heartbeat was deafening in my own ears. I stood in the hallway, hoodie clutched tightly around me, half of my body still trembling from the adrenaline. The dress under the bed felt like a loaded secret, waiting to rewrite everything I thought I knew about myself. Isabella's laugh floated softly from the couch. She had no idea. She couldn't see the subtle shifts, the softness in my hands, the curve forming where it hadn't been before, the way my reflection now carried someone I barely recognized. And yet, I felt exposed. Not from her. Not even from the world. From myself. I had spent months hiding, resisting, denying, but the changes had carved themselves into me quietly, insistently. Every sip of coffee, every careful suggestion from Lena, every moment of distracted self-reflection had been a brick in the new structure of my life. Lena's voice floated from the kitchen, calm as ever, "You've been careful. But careful isn't the same as safe." I swallowed hard, trying to steady my trembling hands. Every instinct screamed that the moment of truth had arrived. That somewhere between curiosity, compliance, and manipulation, I had crossed a line. I could feel it in the subtle tremor of my thighs, the way my chest reacted to movement, the softening of my voice when I spoke, even in whispers. Isabella shifted, her head tilting slightly as she studied me, unaware yet impossibly aware. I should probably, I started, but the words caught in my throat. The mug on the counter caught my eye, the same one I had trusted every morning for a year. The coffee inside it smelled normal, looked normal, but it was never normal. Every drop had rewritten me, inch by inch, day by day. I wanted to destroy it. Smash it. Purge it from my life. But a small, irrational part of me wanted to keep it. Because keeping it meant embracing the person I was becoming. And Lena, silent, precise, knowing, was waiting for me to make that choice. The door to the apartment opened, letting in a soft draft. Isabella stepped inside, smiling, carrying the light, warmth, and curiosity that had always drawn me to her. Our eyes met. I froze. She froze. And in that frozen second, I realized the truth. Nothing could return to the way it was. Not my body, not my secret, not my control. The reflection in the hallway mirror stared back at me, two selves intertwined, the man I had been, and the woman I was slowly becoming. Lena's quiet presence behind the curtain made the air heavier, charged with anticipation. The coffee, the dress, the soft shift of my voice, the subtle curves, they had already rewritten the rules. I didn't move. Isabella smiled again, innocent, unaware, but I could see it in her eyes. The moment of reckoning was closer than I dared admit. And then, the screen fades to black.